Okay, everyone, thank you so much for being here. I am so excited for tonight. I just have a couple questions to get us kicked off. How many of you have used AI before?
Be honest.
I love to see it. I love to see it.
But not on your school papers, right?
No. Anyway, how many of you have taken a class with the wonderful Dr. Venter?
Thanks.
Well, tonight she'll be teaching us all about AI and PR. Does anyone have any questions to get us started? Nobody? Okay, then, with no further ado, Dr. Venter.
Wow, don't clap or anything, that's fun. No, just good. So, all right, hey everyone, how are we doing tonight? Oh, that's better than my morning classes, and that's morning. All right, so I'm starting the clock right now, but let me know if we're getting 2 over, all right?
Sounds
So
good.
hey everyone, my name is Dr. Lynn Venter. You can just call me Venter. Those 3, they know. But they're like, I gotta go through this picture again. So I'm sorry. I mean,
It's okay.
again, I do swear, so there's that. That's why they don't let me teach elementary school, pretty much. Okay, they lost. But anyways, so I kind of teach a lot of things. I'm all over the place. I'm one of those little people, they don't really know what box to put me in, and so because of that, I'm kind of a little into anything. And I'm into technology. When I was learning PR, that was my BA way back when, I had a professor who told us even then, y'all need to learn graphic design. And we're like, why? We have an IT person for that. We have a graphic designer. She's like, it's gonna go away. Just you watch. And my God, is she not right? Now we have classes that actually specialize in design for public communication. We're having to learn Adobe. And it's like, this was someone else's job before. Guess where we are at with AI? Same thing. You know, so those are the things that we're going to be talking about today in terms of where's public relations today in terms of that, and what is AI changing, if at all. All right. First thing, please don't freak out. You know, the jobs are there. For those who are like, oh, we're going to have jobs, you will. But some of the skills that you're going to need to possibly get the jobs that you need may need to shift and adjust. And that's about it. And we'll talk about that as we go forward. So, oh yeah, I totally use AI to help me create this, by the way. Like, I'm not gonna front with you. I did. I checked ChatGPT just in case, but I also did check with a couple of professionals. We like to check on each other in terms of their perspectives, because you need to hear that too, right? Different professors, I'm sure you've heard each of us have different points of views about how we feel about AI, right? I do not have that negative of a perspective, but it's pretty much general idea of what we have about this. So we're gonna talk about AI and PR, and then I call it a workshop, but it's not really a workshop because I want a whole nother direction, because I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm so bored of prompting and how to teach people how to prompt. So I went another way, and we're gonna see if any of you know what I'm about to go through, but we're gonna go through extensions and plugins. Have any of you, is there anybody here already looking at going like, yes, me, my ChatGPT is full of different extensions and plugins? We got one, what are you using?
ChatGPT.
That's, yeah, but are you using extensions or plugins in ChatGPT?
Oh, wait, no.
Have you installed anything into ChatGPT? How many are like, wait, you can do that? Huh?
Pictures, images.
Nope. It's an actual back-end product, software that's working on top of ChatGPT. The ChatGPT power is what it is. That's where we're at, y'all. This is the juicy stuff now. So, and for those of you wondering, like, what does that have to do with PR? I'll show you. So, first of all, what is it? What do we actually know about AI? How many of you, I heard the definition of AI, it's some sort of computer thing. So, essentially, that's what it comes down to. The idea of artificial intelligence or AI is this dream that we have that computers and technology are going to be able to reach human consciousness and intelligence. We're not there yet, I'll tell you that right now. However, when it comes to different kinds of AI, we have what is called a combination through machine learning and deep learning and natural language. How many of you have heard these 3 over and over again? Machine learning, deep learning, and natural language processing. Of course you have, okay? But how many like, I don't actually know what that means. These things are important to understand, to actually have an understanding of what ChatGPT is versus other kinds of AI processes, right? Why are some people are freaking about Grammarly and I am not, where I'm like, Grammarly is not ChatGPT. ChatGPT is different. It is at a different machine learning from deep learning perspective. So this is the way that you can think about it. Machine learning uses algorithms and learns on its own, but may need human intervention to correct itself. So what we have is you have a training program, right? You create this code and you put it in as a person, and then you throw a ton of information or data into a particular software or process, and you allow it to learn by itself. That is ChatGPT. ChatGPT is considered machine learning. They've thrown a ton of data at it, And it has been learning kind of things on its own. Every now and again, it needs human intervention because sometimes ChatGPT is only as good as the information it is fed. So it might be learning things that isn't necessarily accurate or doesn't work. Or, for example, ChatGPT actually thinks more literally than what you might think. And so the humans are like, wait, hold up, that's not what actually we meant. So we need to actually adjust. You need to steer the ship just a little bit, small adjustments. Deep learning is advanced computing its own neural network to adapt with little to no human intervention. We're not really here. This is deep learning right now is essentially theoretical. It's what they hope, oh, look, it's just like class. Remember we locked the door so that nobody can hear me swearing? But they did. My voice carries. So deep learning currently right now is a very deep theoretical concept of that wish and hope and dream that we do not need to intervene whatsoever in the machine process. It will learn, it will continue to learn by itself, it will continue to do the processes. We're not there, so don't worry about that, right? That's that idea. But the only things that you really need to understand are these two definitions, narrow or weak AI and strong or general AI. How many of you have heard of this? Oh, we have, okay, good. A little bit. Do you remember any of it? Like, no, please. You're welcome. That's why I'm here apparently. So narrow or weak AI is performing a specific task. This is the most prevalent form of AI. It's programmed to operate with a set of predetermined functions. It cannot bypass those functions. What you code it for is what it will do. It cannot learn to go outside of those parameters. Okay, so when you ask Siri to look for you for a restaurant, Siri will not suddenly give you recommendations for hardware stores either. It's like, oh, by the way, I also saw that you're running low on this. Here's this. That's going outside of the parameters of find me a restaurant, right? Or things like that. These are strict parameters. So yes, Siri, Amazon's Alexa, Google Devices Assistant. Hey, Google. And my sister's, she's got the Google, she likes to do that, right? Spam filters, chatbots, and search engines are all narrow or weak. A search engine cannot go outside of the perimeter of your search. Yes, it can find different combinations of your search, but it will never go outside of the parameters of the search, right? You're looking for hot dogs, it's not going to give you hamburgers, right? So that's that idea. Now, general or strong AI is different. The ability to perform any intellectual task that a human can, capable of adapting to new situations and generalizing across multiple problems. Examples include, technically speaking, there aren't any because no form of AI exists. This is part of that deep learning aspect, right? Remember the machine learning versus deep learning? Now, deep learning does exist. I should say this. The deep learning does exist, but to get to the point that we want to, where we have absolutely no human intervention at all in the learning process, isn't there yet. And that would go then to this true conception of strong AI, which is Steven Spielberg's AI movie, which if you haven't seen it is a 2009 version. It's amazing. It's a work of art, but it's also like 3.5 hours long. All right. So that's what they're looking at, right? When we're looking at Isaac Asimov, who's talking about AI beings and things like that, that's what it is. However, if we're going to talk about general AI and more advanced or closest concepts to it, some are arguing that ChatGPT and other generative AI like ChatGPT is getting closer and closer to general, stronger AI. Why? Because now it can generate content. Grammarly isn't generative AI. It still requires data from you, right? You have to feed it work that you've already written, right? Otherwise it doesn't work. It's not like you can tell Grammarly, fix my paper spelling and grammar and punctuation. And Grammarly's gonna respond with, what paper? You haven't given me anything. Write my paper for me. Grammarly's like, no, please give me something to work with, right? That's how that works. That's why it's not generative. You still have to create content. ChatGPT, all you have to ask it is, write an essay on hot dogs for me. It will write an essay on hot dogs for you, okay? And it will, it's creepy, it's scary for those of us who've done that, right? How many of you, you've done that? You've put in a random little prompt and you're like, okay, why did it take only 2 seconds to do that? It's still, okay, it's still going. Why is this taking so long? It's taken me 3 weeks and 2 extension requests from my professor to write an essay about a hot dog. what the hell? What am I failing at? Right? Then suddenly we're like, oh, we're losing our jobs, da, 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 until you read it. And you're like, oh, it's actually not very good. So that's the reason why we're like, we're all freaking out because of the speed at which this generative AI can work. I will say the kind of generative content that certain kind of software can now create is improving. ChatGPT is but one kind of generative AI. It is a text generator AI, although now it's expanding. Now you can even give it a screenshot of your Instagram page and let it roast you. You got, no? Yeah, we haven't tried this? Oh. Go to your Instagram page, do it on desktop, zoom out, get a screenshot of as many shots as you can, put it on ChatGPT, ask it what it thinks about your page. Right, okay? So, by the way, though, from a PR perspective, that's a useful thing for branding, right? But there's something to be said about that in terms of that's how much it's advancing. We can now put images and we can ask it to create images. Generative images and video software is more advanced generative AI. And this is why people are kind of nervous about it. Because those are things and jobs that we relied on people to do, right? We relied on people to write things. We relied on people to take pictures. Even when you're creating computer software imagery, right? How many of you have created vector art on Adobe or any other program, right? Drawn on a computer? No, none of us, just me, right? So there you go. But the thing is, you can create computer generated art, but it's you. You're the one who has to do it. Not anymore, right? Go to DALL-E, put in a prompt. Now there are copyright issues and questions in terms of that didn't come up with ChatGPT. Why? Because people's signatures straight up came up on DALL-E. And we're like, oh, that's someone's signature from their previous work. That doesn't come up on ChatGPT. So that's why that ChatGPT hasn't had that much issue, right? But it is generative in that nature. So because of that, we do consider this a strong or general AI, but it is not still true strong or general AI because ChatGPT still relies on human intervention. It is not perfect. Its learning is still going. Every now and again, the programmers still have to go in and adjust the training module. There's no AI currently that can completely and thoroughly think for itself. Maybe the closest is Watson. Any of you know about IBM Watson? Was one of the earliest ones actually too. Everybody forgets about poor Watson. Watson is actually performing way more incredible tasks than ChatGPT, but it is purely for back-end processes, advanced elements like that, right? But Watson itself is still not considered true AI. Watson still has to have some sort of human intervention. And so I want you to walk away with that. If anything else, AI cannot still take over human jobs because AI still relies on human intervention. But do you know how I say that it cannot completely replace, right? That doesn't mean that it's not in our lives though. And that's the thing. AI is in our lives now. It's here. It is not going away. Much like when Adobe first happened as a software. Believe it or not, there were people who were losing their proverbial when Adobe came around, you know what I'm saying, right? Right? They're like, a software to create imagery on computers, right? There's been a whole lot of hope. As soon as the technology comes in, just think about your Com 100 classes for those of you who've taken that, right? History of Media and Com. When the first book got mass produced, right? Well, what did that cause? Only the destruction of the Catholic Church as an empire, am I right? Yeah, I'm right. So in any case, after that too, the radio, the television, the telephone, right? Then when the internet happened, there have been destabilizations with each of these technologies. AI is just another form of technology. Yes, it looks scary because it can do stuff really quickly, but it's another form of technology. What we do with that technology, how we learn to use it, that is where we can either lose ourselves or develop a new sense of perspective on the industry that we are in. That is kind of the opportunity. That is the way I look at AI. It is an opportunity to reconsider how we have been doing things in any cases in industry and what can we do new. And if it's scary, how do we control it? When TV came out, there were questions about the ethics of imagery on television. News reporting became more live than ever, and the first time the Vietnam War was reported, by the way, it was the first time we ever had a war live on television. People saw blood and death in a way they'd never experienced before. After that were questions of the ethics of news imagery, especially live reporting. Ask me this, how is that different from where we are today? It's not different. It's no different. The questions are even the same. The technology is just different. That's it, right? But we're in the same place. So think about that. So how is AI actually changing PR? What's happening? The main thing, if you had to summarize it into one thing, automation. Number one thing, it is automating a lot of tasks that were manual. And I don't know about you, but thank God, there's some stuff that I just don't want to do today. Today, we went to dinner before this and we talked about creating media contact lists. Oh, it's so important. It's such important work. It's so tedious. It's so tedious, right? Oh my God, how nice would it be if I said, can someone collect for me all of the information of the media consultant, media professionals or reporters in this region and what or not? Granted, is ChatGPT going to give you real people? That's a whole other question. That's why it's not going to replace your job. Don't worry about it, right? It can't automate it that quite well, but there are other things. I work in social media. I do social media stuff. Do you know what is even more tedious than media reports? Social media data collection. The monthly social media reports. So important, such good work. Why? We need data to make better decisions. How did our content do this month? What hit? What didn't hit? What was happening this month in addition to our content going out? How many likes, comments, subscribes? Now, of course, shares that we have, right? What's going on here? With those kinds of lens, we can ask questions about our content, and from that, we can make better decisions. That's data-driven decision making. We were doing all of that before. AI has just increased that to a new level, but AI can also help with that, right? If you collect all this information in a data sheet, guess what you can do? You can pop your CVS sheet. If those of you don't know what I'm talking about, it's the Excel spreadsheet. It's a CVS data table that you get. And then you can actually put that into ChatGPT. And ChatGPT will collate all of that data for you. Manual data collation is the bane of my existence. Why? Because I hate math in any case, but, right, I can do social media math, but I don't want to. It's timing, it's consuming, especially when you're running 3 to 4 to 5 different accounts. You have to do all of that. Granted, yes, you still have to collect all the data first, but once you have it, now the process of actually trying to make sense of it can be automated. Audience sentimentation, audience sentiment, right? Which is when we take comments and we look at what they're actually trying to say. It's more of a qualitative kind of data element. Do they like us? Do they not like us? Do they hate us? Those kinds of things. Usually we did that manually. We would try and make that. ChatGPT can now do that for you, right? So that's kind of great. It can do media listening, which is that whole aspect of where you put in keywords, elements, and things like that, and then you collect all that data. It can do that for you. There are 2 ways to do it. One, there's already software companies doing it for you. How many of you know about Hootsuite? Okay, there we go. What else we have? HubSpot, Later, Planoly. What else can I mention? Social Sprout. God, there's so many. For those of you who don't look at social media, don't worry. There's a company that does almost anything with that. Okay? What they do is they've already done the software programming for you. No IT needed. There is another way you can do it, and that's manual, but that requires, we'll talk about that in a minute. Hold on to that, right? There's that. So analysis reports and public engagement, chatbots. Yes, part of what we do in PR is engage the public. We reply to comments, we reply to some messages, but I'm going to be honest with you. Sometimes somebody does a Facebook DM where you're like, okay, so if I get one more question, what towers are you open? That's not something that we need a person to actually be there to respond to. You can build a chatbot that when someone messages information like that, it can index it and say, oh, they're asking for this. Our store is open from this or this time, right? Or for example, if there's crisis happening and someone's messaging, DMing your company for certain information, you can get a chatbot to say, we are not commenting at this time. Please go to this person instead, right? That way you don't have to have a human keep going into that. That's automation, right? So that can be really helpful in that front. Content creation. 2 kinds of things here. Ideation is one way that a lot of professionals have been using that, all right? My parents only have so much bandwidth to keep going back and forth on my ideas. Only so much. And it's starting to wane as they get older, mind you, all right? So if you do not have someone that can go back and forth on your ideas, and I don't know about you, but I find that many of us in PR, we don't do well on our own. We have to have someone that we can talk to about our ideas, right? It's like, okay, here, listen, let me drop this on you. What do you think? We go back and forth. There's an energy in that, right? If you work in an agency or things like that, there's going to be space built for that. But oftentimes there may be a time when that doesn't happen. Smaller companies do not always have the resources to provide you with a team that you can back and forth with someone. Let me tell you right now, I'll admit it, I have enjoyed doing actual ideation back and forth with ChatGPT. It's a full-on conversation. I have a conversation with like, hey, ChatGPT, I have this idea for this social media content that I have to produce on this. What do you think about it? And then I give it a little bit of information, but we do it a conversation as opposed to, hey, ChatGPT, make this piece of content for me, right? Because then it's going to do it, remove the things that I actually need. And what I really need is someone to help me. Sometimes I just have a rough idea of something, and I'm trying to look for someone to help me refine it. ChatGPT can be great for that, okay? But it can also do writing. Yes, hold on to that. We're going to get there because this is what splits. The image use doesn't actually split a lot of public relations professionals. When it comes to image and video use for AI, many people say no. Why? It comes back to copyright. We do not know what copyright is involved in images. We don't have that much problem with writing, but with images, it's very questionable. There's still too many questions and too many active lawsuits to the point that companies that have actual copyright and trade laws do not want to mess around with that. So it's safer just to say no. Writing is where we get some splitsies. Some people feel, listen, you try and batch create content for social media or for blog posts, which is also another form of content that we create all the time, right? You try and batch create content on your own of an afternoon for 3 months ahead of the schedule. I have actually had to do that because ChatGPT didn't exist. Now ChatGPT exists, so I ask it to help me do that, okay? But there's places. Some people say low stakes elements, no problem. Let ChatGPT write it. Low stakes social media posts, things like that. Others say higher stake things like press releases, never. No. Okay, more important social media posts that are either about emergencies or more brand related things, no. Human needs to write that. Why? There's still this question about the organic authenticity of AI generators. Most people agree that in general, AI generators are just not very good at emulating human beings in an organic manner, whatever we even consider organic authenticity. But there's something there. We consider something human, right? So there's that element there. So there's that. Other things, predictive analytics, data-driven decision-making, that's what I'm talking about. Put my tables on there, get my details, right? And now that's where the part comes in. Either you pay for it through a service like Hootsuite, where all you do is you just connect all of your accounts, and Hootsuite actually uses, you don't even realize it, but software program like Hootsuite is already using AI-powered programs to develop that. Cisco, who's one of the largest running software international companies that's running telephone services and other data services as well, and Nielsen's, they all run on AI data-driven powered algorithms to do the work for you. You just see the data map that it creates. That's all. Oh, here's this nice little graph about how we did this month. That's cute. You don't even register. That was AI, right? And there's a second way to do it, which is cheap and it's free, but it requires you to know more coding. That's the thing. So crisis management, some folks have found that they can use, first of all, 2 ways. One is to actually give GAI information about your company and also previous crisis issues that have come up in a way to ask it, can you predict what kind of situations we should be planning for ahead? Now, guess what? That's stuff that we already do. If you're in crisis comm, how many of you are like, yes, we talked about that. One of your jobs is not just to be ready when a crisis happens. One part of your job is to be pre-prepared before a crisis happens. You need to already be able to ideate what crises might come from past experiences to what you see in that particular industry. Rip the airline people, good luck, okay? Can you imagine when ChatGPT is gonna come up with that? It's like, okay, hold on. We need a whole lot more minutes here. It'll have you though, okay? It has your back, it can do that. Once again though, people are split on this as to whether they let it create full plans or just ideation. Help me ideate all of this at least, right? But it's never a full replacement, it's a cooperation. Then you have audience segmentation. I actually stole this straight up from marketing and advertising because those are worlds that I have found converging ever since I was in PR. I graduated in 2007. Saw that happen for years, knew that was gonna happen, and it has, all right? So everything we do is about audience. Everything we do is about audience. Sometimes we talk about that in terms of who your stakeholder, right? Your public. Think about it as audience. I know sometimes some of us, it's like, that's a cringy way to think of it. We don't sell things. Yeah, we do. We sell image. We do. We just sell it a different way than advertising marketers, right? But how do we figure out who our audience is? I'll tell you, there's nothing more genius, again, but so important as making audience personas. This is where you sit and you get all this data, demographic data about people and psychographic data, right? Who people are, what is it? Age, sex, gender, religion, political institution, blah, 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 right? And then also, are they impulsive? Are they introverts or extroverts? Things like that. You get data like this about people who are in your organization or for it. And then you make a person out of it. You make what is considered the persona. Why? It helps us personalize the information. It helps us actually create a more personal aspect of what we think is our most perfect audience, our most perfect public, our most perfect stakeholder. And you do that for everybody. That takes hours when you're doing that manually. Because first you have to go look up all the data. Then you've got to go write that stuff yourself. So ChatGPT, I won't lie to you, I use it for that. I love using ChatGPT to help me create audience buyer personas. And I have no problem using it from a buyer perspective. I just translate it to PR afterwards for my needs, but it does almost 2/3 the work for me than I would have needed to do. And then I just test it. And then that's it, right? So that's awesome. Influencer collaborations. Ooh, this is big. For those of you who don't know, influencer marketing is a continued huge element, and it is now into PR, right? Public relations people are sometimes in charge of figuring out who's going to be a good influencer to work with. You can do that with ChatGPT, AI. You can ask it, here's the information of the people. What do we think? Are they going to be good? Are they going to be bad? Here's their previous bad stuff that they've done. What's going on? All right. So there's that. But I'm also interested in how AI is changing PR, right? Because some of this is very similar to what we're already doing, but there are some things that AI are absolutely changing in a way that you should be aware of to consider your marketability, right? And one of that is more technical application. When I was in school in 2007, it was all about, y'all need to learn Adobe. Don't rely on graphic designers. Did I go learn Adobe? No. Do I know Adobe? Relatively. Do I wish I'd done more? Yes. But I already graduated in 2007, so you don't know how that goes, right? But if you have the opportunity now to learn more technical aspects of ChatGPT, I don't mean just prompting. I don't mean don't just learn how to prompt. That's really not that technical, guys. And you can find every damn good video out there. Hootsuite has like 14,000 different blogs about how to do a good prompt in ChatGPT. That's not that technical. There's an artistry to it, don't get me wrong. Technical, I mean no to low-level coding. But do you understand how you can make certain AI software work better for you? If you know how to do that, that's going to put you on a next marketability level. All right. So what do I mean about that? AI engineer adjacent. That's what I want you to think about. Already we're calling prompting engineers. We're looking at it from a coding perspective. This is something that is outside of PR, that is now into PR. We need to start thinking like engineers, like coders, like IT. That is now your generation's responsibility. I'm not saying it's not my responsibility either. We have to learn as well, but we're the ones who are slow already for it. You're the ones who are there as this is happening, right? And there's so many tools available there. Data analysis. That was something that was not previously really a core crux focus for PR. We did data in terms of campaigns and things like that. But I'm talking about deep data. Actually now learning what data tables are, how to code a data table, how to extract data and input it into another software for more data analysts. Okay? That is things that was not necessarily within PR. AI is changing this. Become data-centric. Software proficiency. Media monitoring software. There's a bunch of this. You heard me mention it before. Hootsuite and Meltwater and Brandwatch. Hootsuite is mostly about social media. Brandwatch is about brand identity and marketing. Kind of straddles the world of PR. Meltwater is also mostly about audience sentiment, right? Knowing how to work these different softwares is now becoming sometimes part of the job ask. When you're looking for jobs today, they'll ask you proficiency in Hootsuite, Meltwater. Do you know? And they'll list off software, right? If you have some sort of at least awareness of them, maybe not know how, because none of these are free most of the time in any case now, because it's so popular. But if you can get access to some of these, or even just watch a video, see tutorials of them, you've already put yourself ahead of other people, right? And then the same thing in terms of customer relation management. We were never concerned about that stuff. That was the realm of marketing. Not the case anymore. PR and marketing have converged. A PR person can do marketing. A marketing person can do PR. But marketing has the advantage. Why? They are data-centric since the beginning. They've always loved data. Budgets has always been data. We've talked about that for like we have budgets, but it's always like, how little money can you spend? That was the budget, okay? Marketing was always different, much deeper in terms of that. Also, success in marketing has always been ROI. So that's that data. Think data and SEO. You've already heard how much SEO, search engine optimization, has now been included in your writing. It's now even more, right? You have to keyword search that stuff into your actual AI program, put it in there. And then data visualization. Once again, data. How many of you are like, oh, I'm starting to see a thing here. Data, data, data. Tableau. How many of you recognize that? How many of you have heard of it? Yeah. I've started seeing it pop up in certain PR job asks. No Tableau. No Google. Google has a data tool that it uses. Excel. How many of you know how to use, how many of you know how to open Excel? Great. How many of you know how to create a data sheet on Excel? How many of you know how to pull out data from another Excel sheet? How many of you know how to create advanced visualizations from that? That's your weakness. That's something that you can think about. That's AI tools. AI tools can do that, right? How can you learn to use that? And then of course, Zoho is another one, things like that. So there's that, right, in terms of that. APIs, application programming interfaces. Develop and integrate AI-driven tools with platforms. This is thinking engineering-centric. Not only am I using ChatGPT, but am I using tools on ChatGPT that can make it even more advanced? We're talking Excel, we're talking plugins, we're not talking Excel, but we're talking plugins and we're talking extensions. All right, and that's the whole thing of no to low code. You don't need to know code to put these extensions in, but you do need to be tech savvy to know how to follow the directions to install some of these. Some of them, they're already now on what we call the ChatGPT Explore page. Some of them, you have to go look for them, and then you have to actually attach them and insert them and connect them to your ChatGPT. That's what I want to show you today, right? But by the way, any of you, if you can't get into basic coding, doing Python, doing HTML, CSS will get you very far, but adding Python and SQL will even help you further. Python is mostly for mobile, right? But Python is also used for data visualization. Do I know any of these? I know HTML and CSS very poorly. Thank you, Tumblr, early MySpace days. But that's about it, all right? I have been working on trying to get a Python, but hey, I'm older than you and I have a lot more responsibilities so far. It's not to say you don't have responsibilities, but you're more flexible, you're more fluid, right? Yes, thank you. So that's how we're at. So those are really the big changes. What are some of the pros seeing? Some of the real pros. So some of these, I didn't name them, but they are real people. Don't worry, ChatGPT did not make these people up. I know them personally, I messaged them. Pro number one, he's a global social media director for tech games company, SteelSeries, okay? He pretty much doesn't use it, he is against the use of AI for visual imagery, period. He's a photographer on the side, so he hates that concept of copyright. They also do not use AI on their team because they have never been able to emulate the brand voice that they have for their company, period. And so they actually found that they were spending more time trying to prompt ChatGPT to get where it needed to be than actually writing. They could get to it in 2 times, where ChatGPT was spending 6, 7, 8 times to prompt it right. And you're like, waste of time. We don't need that. But he spent years developing his team. He spent years training his team. So it's developed, right? Pro number 2 is a university media communication specialist in Colorado, using only to draft low-stakes social media posts, period. Anything else bigger? No, they're actually currently redeveloping their AI Bible right now to codify actual policies based on the university and their own. AI imagery is a no, big no. And then pro number 3, senior manager of communication for Jojo Aquarium. Some of you might read it. See, I told you she's real. I asked her, I emailed her. We had a big talk about this. She has said that only use AI as an assistant, ideation almost only. Does not use it for things like press releases and or anything else, period. And I have found this to be across the board. Nobody's really against AI necessarily, but they're about finding it if it works for your brand or if it doesn't, and mostly using it in an ethical way. So that's the big thing. Also, none of them have said that their jobs are being replaced by AI. In fact, they found that AI is pretty stupid for the most part. Why? Because we're not a true deep machine learning, all right? But here's a little positive note for you. 86% of communications professionals globally see AI as an opportunity rather than a risk. Look at that. That's an actual study for you. I've linked this talk for Emily. You can share it to everybody so you can read this. It's a very interesting actual study and report. That is a huge positive number from what this was a year ago. There is opportunity in AI more than risk. Our jobs are not necessarily at risk. The kind of jobs that we did before though, and the tasks that we were required to do before, those will change. But your teachers are already changing, curriculum will be changing, so that's one thing. But for those of you who are outside of that, go and learn what it is you missed here and go and get that so that you can make yourself more marketable. That's it. Do I have time to go over this?
Yeah.
Yes, we'll go quick. All right, so here's the thing. I actually want to show you what it looks like when we put an actual, I can't see it on here. How do you exit out of here? Where's the keyboard? There we go. So we've actually logged into ChatGPT. This is what my ChatGPT looks like regularly, right? How many of you, like, this is it? You log in, you see that, and you kind of type stuff in, right? Cool. Now, however, can you see it? Or not?
It was working earlier.
It was working earlier, right? Hang on. Maybe if you have the HDMI cable plugged in, right? Yeah? Yeah. Hey, this is why AI not gonna replace my job, right? I'm dumb enough in my own job as it is. Right. Let's see, where are you? Let's put it on another screen. I'm just not having a day here. Screw it. I got it. It's called being smart. I just have to refresh, re-log into ChatGPT.
You have the AIPRM already pulled up on there next to the role.
Yes, but what it does is when you go into ChatGPT, it will change it. That's the idea. So a new screen should pop in. So whatever, we'll just say this. So there are extensions that exist, right? Several extensions out there. This is just one of them, AIPRM. What this is a community of people developing software program for ChatGPT. Different templates that you can use. That's one of them. So you have to find it on your Google store, right? So I've already been here. You go to your little thing. It only works on Chrome. Most of these only work on Chrome for extensions. So that's the negative about this. But once you get that, you go to extensions, you go to visit Chrome Web Store. If you have them, you can type them up. Otherwise, you can just type up ChatGPT extensions. Bunch of them will come up. I just happen to like this one because they have quite a few in their library. Then all you do is you just put it into Chrome, you attach it, you restart your program, and it'll pop up. And it's not popping up now. Oh, I don't know what to do. I just love it when you run through everything and it works just fine. And then you go through the actual presentation and everything falls to pieces. Right? Yeah, me too. Oh, I know why. I know why. Do you know why? Because it's not installed on this Chrome.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. You should be sorry, but also I should be sorry for not registering that. So we just add to Chrome and we're gonna hope that KSU is not that. No, please do. Yes, allow. Once you do that, allow. You can read the data notes and all things like that. Once you have it, this is gonna come up. Now, how many of you are like, oh, this is not your mom's ChatGPT? It's not. Okay, so get started with AIPRM, and this is what it is. This is a template marketplace. Most of them are free. Most of them now have certain subscription space behind them, but you can get started. So for example, let's look up press releases. Don't freak out. Don't freak out. Don't freak out. I'm not teaching them how to cheat. Remember I said ethical use. I'm just wanting to show you what you can find. That's all. So when you get down here now there are different outputs. Now here's the problem. This is where stuff is like, when it gets popular, what happens? Upgrade for more. But this will still get you around because now I already don't have to prompt one thing, which is I'm doing a press release. Okay. But also let's say that I just want to do I want to do a press release blog. How many of you know what press release blogs are? No? None of you know what those are? Some of you? It's an actually where you write a blog post from a press release. So it doesn't look like a press release. People don't realize that they're being sent things. So they don't have that one. That's fine. We'll just do that. Let's see. Output in English, default tone. We'll keep that. Oh wait, no, we'll keep that default. Now we can put in press release on, what do we want to do?
Dogs.
Dogs. Well, let's see what it does with just that. See, it's looking for that, so it needs something more. That's where its weakness comes in, right? Where, I had one where it's giving the pressure as well. Let's go with. Oh, you know what? Yeah.
The hurricane.
Well, the thing is, if you look at Hurricane, there's no real, it's looking for templates, right? So what is the template on Hurricane? Instead, let's do an audience persona. Audience. Ooh. From Facebook Ads Audience Generator. Ugh. 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 Oh, you can tell how I feel about this. So we can change this. So you see how it already automatically popped up things? So now I can put in USA, Facebook. Oh, let's do Instagram instead. Okay. So what's our product or service? Hot dogs. All right. Writing style, default. Let's go with poetic. Let's see. You can upgrade. It's about $20 a month for this one. There is another service that you can add for free. There's several, but that's what gets the idea. Let's see what happens.
That was a no from the group.
It's already created. Now, the idea is that you, of course, are going to put in more about your company. We are a company that specializes in hot dogs. We have a special anniversary event coming up, right? You still have to give that information, but half the work is already done when it already has a template for you to pull from in terms of all of these other things that you would need to add. I would like it to be written in a tone of professionalism, but excited. What is excited professionalism? I need all of this. This is the idea of this prompt. Also, do you see the formatting it did? You see how it's already in boxes? You cannot prompt that in regular ChatGPT. You can prompt ChatGPT to give you that information, and then you have to go into Word document and put it in those graphs. But that's where these templates come in. They've already programmed ChatGPT to draw up these graphs like this. This is the benefit. This is what I talk about being AI engineering adjacent. And then if you want to add more things, here you go. Go look it up. Access your ChatGPT, go to Explore GPT. By the way, I found public relations through here as well. There are many widgets or extensions or plugins which take your ChatGPT to the next level. This is what you need to be experimenting with next, because this is where it's going at. Okay, sorry, that took a little bit more time. There we go. You know the public relations, but we won't.
Hey, it was great.
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
Oh, as an 8, solid 8.5, right, Dave?